Hi, how are you tonight? I'm sorry I'm late. I was actually right on time, and then I started doing some things and completely lost track of time. So let me just check and see. Everything looks okay. I hope everybody's doing well tonight. We had a little change in the weather today, and tomorrow's going to be even colder. A lot of areas near me are talking about frost or even hard freeze. So we went kind of from one extreme to the other, didn't we? All right, let's see. There I am. All righty. So I am just going to turn the camera down so we can get started because I think, I don't know how late I am. Gosh, more than 5 minutes late, looks like. All right, we'll turn the camera down and get started, and I'll tell you what we're doing today. Let's get a couple of wires out of the way here. Alrighty. Alrighty. I think we're good. So, I'm Roberta Colosino, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in the Finger Lakes region of upstate New York. I come to you live every Wednesday night at about 7 o'clock. Obviously, sometimes I'm a little bit late. And we do a live video and a class, you could call it that, where we learn about making cards and sometimes some other things. And let's see, you can find my videos now on YouTube at 11lakesstamper. Just 11 Lakes Stamper on YouTube. This group, in case you just came upon it totally by accident, this group is called 11 Lakes Stamper Creatives. And this group is a public Facebook group. Basically, the only rules we have in this group are just to be nice. Well, I've got that light there, but I think it's not too bad because it's over to one side. Let's see, sometimes if you just put something over there, yeah, it kind of blocks the light, but I'll have to put a piece of paper over there or something at some point. All right, so there we go. I have some announcements for tonight. We have some things going on, some promotions, and I just realized I left something on the printer, so let me go get that. Okay, so we have, first of all, starting yesterday, it says today, but it was really yesterday, we have group shipping. I think, Stampin' Up! Is making every attempt possible to make customers and demonstrators as well understand that, we are dealing with the prices of everything increasing, and it's getting difficult for people. And unfortunately, as therapeutic as I believe crafting is, if you have to make a choice between buying groceries or buying crafts, you're going to buy groceries, let's face it. At least most of us are. So they've started doing a thing called group shipping. This is not, though, for individuals or for demonstrators alone. So like three demonstrators couldn't get together and do this, and 3 or 4 customers couldn't get together and do this. So what they're doing is it's a demonstrator-initiated thing. So let's say if I had some customers who wanted to place orders, and I've done this in the past, I could suggest to them, let's place your orders all at once and save a little bit on shipping. So what happens is that each individual pays 11% of their total order before tax and shipping, tax for shipping. And this, again, can't be used by individual groups. And the group shipping total cost of your order must exceed $7.95, and I can't imagine how it wouldn't. There's not much you can get for $7.95. And the demonstrator sets up the group and has a shipping code. So what happens here, though, is that I believe that everything is... This is the part I'm confused on. They just sort of announced this a couple of days ago. I'm not sure whether everything gets shipped to the demonstrator's house and the demonstrator has to get it to you, or if it can be shipped to different houses. Because in the past, if I placed an order for customers as a demonstrator, everything had to come to my house and then I had to deliver it. So, people had to be, within a reasonable distance from me. I don't mind driving 20, 30 minutes to deliver an order, but obviously I'm not going to drive hours or to another state. So I think the deal is now that it can go to separate addresses. So I'm going to have to look into that more and get back to you and let you know. All right. The other thing, and I apologize for this, is that we are having a 30% off, or up to 30%, so not all of them are 30%, up to 30% off offer on all of our all-inclusive kits. But that offer started on the 6th and it ends tonight. So because you have to place your order in Mountain Time because of the Stampin' Up! Is in Utah, you have a little bit more time to do it because they're 2 hours behind us. But you have to be sure to place the order by 11 p.m. I think it's 11 p.m. or 11:30 p.m. Mountain Time. Okay? All right, so again, I'm sorry for that being late, but you can take a look at the kits at my website at www.rcolosino.stampinup.net, and you can place your order there as well, and then you will be shopping with me, which I would appreciate very much. We have a startup order, which is a joining order for a startup kit that is better than any I've ever seen. It's better than the one that I got when I signed up, to be honest with you. And it's better than, sorry, I just had to adjust that bit. It's better than, I can't remember whenever this good. So there's 2 separate orders, and you choose which one you want. So the first offer is $125 worth of products for $35. Normally, the minimum you have to spend is $99. And normally, when you spend $99, you get $125 worth of products. I think at one time it was $150 or $155, but that doesn't happen very often. Now they're offering $189 worth of products for $99. You can order kits. You can order from the last chance list. You can order from the annual catalog, and you can order from the mini catalog. Typically, you will get a free paper pumpkin kit when you do this. Sometimes there are some other freebies that are thrown in, and I can't promise what they are, but I think the paper pumpkin kit is always a gimme. You always get that. So it's a great time to join my team. I'd certainly love to have more members on my team, and I'd love to have some new people join us. And what's important for you to know is that if you should decide to join and be a member of my team, you don't have to do any of this stuff. Okay, you don't have to make videos. You don't have to do any of that stuff. In fact, maybe all you really want to do is get your $99 or your $889 or your $125 worth of things for the discounted price, and you may never do another thing again. But as soon as you become a demonstrator, as soon as you're registered, they'll let you know when you're officially a demonstrator. It's usually within 48 hours of signing up, if not sooner. You immediately get a 20% discount on everything you order. So at that point, not only have you got all these goodies for either $35 or $99, but now you can order stuff and get 20% off. And here's the part that nobody ever believes. I say it every time and they think I'm nuts, but I promise it's true. When you're a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and you decide to place a demonstrator order just for yourself, you're not ordering for any customers, just for yourself, you actually earn a commission on those things that you order for yourself. And you get the 20% discount. I don't even know how you could beat that. And I understand that it seems too good to be true, but it is true, I promise. All right, it is true. The last order that I placed was strictly just for myself, and I got commission on it. It's wonderful. And you also get the Stampin' Rewards with it. So it's like a triple, it's just amazing to me what you get. And I've had at least one team member who has signed up, no, 2 actually, who have signed up 2 different times, and then they've dropped, which is fine. Nothing happens when you drop. Nobody calls you. Nobody says, what the heck, where'd you go? Nobody bothers you. And then a few months later, they signed up again and got the signing bonus, and then that was it. Neither of those 2 people has ever tried to hold a class or tried to do anything. They just want a discount on the supplies that they use for themselves. So seriously, think about that. If you have any questions, just please shoot me a message and let me know. If you think I'm making it all up, you can talk to one of my team members and they'll tell you it's really true. All right, so let's get started. So today we are working with the Paper Tags Bundle, and this is an online exclusive. All right, hang on. I'm just looking to put a little piece of paper over here just to cut down the distraction on that light there. There we go. Okay. So it is a bundle, and it comes with a stamp set and these dies. I believe there are 6 of the dies, and the dies cut out this tag. Then they have a different tag that you can use as like a backer. Then they have this that it cuts out, but you stamp it and then you cut it out with this. Then it has a die that I think will also cut out this, but I don't know. I'm not sure you'd want to, only because it's stitched. It would probably look nice just on its own. Then there's also a little, I don't know what you call it, like a hole punched die that you can put at the top of your tag, and I'll show you in a minute so you can see what I'm talking about, so that you can slip a ribbon through it. It makes a little, it's not really the hole, it's that little, let me see if you can see it, just that little like long elongated shape that you see there, that oblong shape, that's really what it cuts out. Okay, and then this, which is just a sentiment banner for a small sentiment, and there's one sentiment in here that will fit in that, and of course you probably have many others that will fit in among all of your stamp sets that you own. All right, so it's a fun stamp set, and again, I know I said this last week, it's really important to me to try to buy, because I can't buy it all, I don't buy it all, but it's very important for me to buy stamp sets or bundles that are versatile. So when you buy a bundle, you save 10%. You certainly could buy the stamps by themselves. You certainly could buy the tags by themselves. But when you buy them both together, you save 10%. And 10% is 10%, right? So I've got several cards today. I don't know how I got a little carried away because I've been doing 3 cards for you. And for some reason, I found myself doing 4. I also tried to think about what colors I haven't used lately because I tend to get stuck and I start using the same colors over and over again. So this is Gorgeous Grape, which is a beautiful, dark, rich color. And so I decided to make a Gorgeous Grape card. Okay, and then this, I didn't even really think about using at all until I punched it out. And when what happens is not punch, but die cut out. When you die cut this one, you have this left over from the piece that you die cut it from. And I thought, that I started to throw it in the recycling bin. And I said, wait a minute, this could be like a really nice frame. I think I like that as a frame. So I decided to use it. And then this is important to know too, although I think you can see it, but just in case you're not picking up on what it is. This stamp here does a negative image. So it's this background part that's raised up. And the stuff that you see here in white is recessed. So the ink doesn't get in there unless you got a real mushy ink pad, and then you're going to not like that. So you might have to push some of your ink aside with the back of a spoon because you don't want it to be too mushy. Now, to get this beautiful dark image that I got here, stamping, I did use my stamping platform, my Stamparatus, and I would recommend that everybody pick up a stamp platform. Unfortunately, Stamparatus no longer sells, or Stampin' Up! No longer sells that one. But you could find one, almost anywhere. There are several different kinds. In last week's video, I talked about it. So I thought maybe this could go like inside of that. And I wasn't 100% sure, but I thought, well, I'm going to kind of keep that. And then this was my last minute thought too, was that I was going to put these together so that there would be a background. Okay, so that was my idea. So I am going to do that right now. I do try to do some things off camera, but please let me know if there's something that you really want to see. So in other words, if you really have not yet seen how the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine works and you'd like to see that, I know I did a tutorial a while ago, but I have a feeling that was one of the videos that was taken down. So maybe I'll just do another one and I'll have it posted there. And then when you go to my YouTube channel, I am trying to set things up in playlists. So I have like a playlist for fun folds and a playlist for, I think, card sketches. I can't remember what else. So I could set up a playlist for tutorials of some kind, or yeah, I guess a tutorial would be fine, but there are tutorials for so many things. Okay, so now I've got this little frame with the white background, so we've got a little contrast. I thought the black would look nice with that, because using purple it would blend in too much. Plus this is purple, so I didn't necessarily think that I had to do that. So I think that's okay just like that. I don't know. The other thing I thought about doing, because some of the frames, before I realized I wanted to keep them, were kind of wonky, and there was nothing I could do to fix them to make them unwonky. So, but I've always liked things that are a little bit wonky, so I thought maybe I could put it offset and then maybe do something like that. I don't know. Either one would be fine. Just having this on the front of this would be not enough, I don't think. If there was some nice designer series paper I could put on the back, which there would be. I certainly could find some. But I think I like this. I don't know. I'm gonna go for it. And we'll put this down. there's a little bit of adhesive on there, and I'll have to tell you about that too at some point. I know I have erasers in one of these drawers. There it is. So I'm thinking, and then I put my blocks in front of the drawers. So when I open the drawers, I knock over the blocks. All right, so this is an adhesive eraser. Stampin' Up! Used to sell these as well, but to be honest, you can get them at the dollar store. I have not tried any of the dollar store ones to see if they work as well. I did buy some on Amazon. There you go, got it off beautifully. I did buy some on Amazon at one point. I have some adhesive kits that I sell. I keep meaning to put something on air about them, and I just keep forgetting. All right, so I could pop this up on dimensionals too. That might be kind of cool, just to give it a little boost. All right, so let's do that. We'll pop it up on dimensionals. This is the Take Your Pick tool, and it works wonders for lots of things. It's got a pointed end, which works great for things like this, or even piercing if you do anything with piercing. It's got a spatula end on the other side, which I sometimes use for mistakes, you know, to peel something back up. And then it has the putty end, which is kind of like a pickup tool that will help you pick up your embellishments. It will help you pick up little beads, little pieces of paper, and things like that. And it's refillable. You just screw this off, and then you screw on a replacement. And now they've got some that are like an embossing tool, you know, with a little ball on the end. What else do they have? They have, I think, an X-Acto type knife attachment for one. Who knows what they'll come up with next. But it's nice because it's kind of an all-in-one tool. So there you go. All right, now, you know, what this says, just in case you hadn't read it, is may your day be filled with sunshine and laughter. So again, and I know I talked about this last week, sometimes I don't put specific sentiments in my cards because then I go looking for an anniversary card, and what have I got? I've got 100 birthday cards, 100 thank you cards, but no anniversary cards. Or I've got anniversary cards and birthday cards and not a single thank you card, that kind of thing. So if it's a card where the front saying could mean almost anything, could mean happy birthday, could even be get well, it could be almost anything, then sometimes I like to leave it blank so that I can put my own sentiment on the inside. And if I make too many cards that have all kinds of sentiments on them that I'm never going to use, then I have cards that, you know, I can't use, although I do sell some. All right, so there we go. And I'm so happy that I decided to use the Gorgeous Grape because it is a beautiful color, and I just don't pick it up that often. All right, so there's that. That's card number 1. Card number 2 is where the adhesive thing comes in. So a lot of people use the blue painter's tape, which is really not meant for paper crafting. It's meant to, you know, put on a painted surface for the most part. So a lot of us would tear off a piece of this and then like put it on our sleeve or our pants or something so it wasn't quite so tacky. Then I discovered the purple painter's tape, which is supposed to be a lower tack. Some people use washi tape. The problem with washi tape is that sometimes it's sticky, sometimes it's not sticky. So last week I discovered artist's tape, and I ordered 3 rolls of it. It comes in this package. I don't remember off the top of my head how much it was, but I got it on Amazon. I want to say it might have been $14 or $11 because I ordered several things that were in that price range. But I have got 3 rolls, 540 feet, and I'm thinking that will probably last me a lifetime. If I were using it just for crafting, if I use it for paint and stuff, then it might not last quite that long. So this came in the mail, was delivered today. This card I made last night, or I started last night. So what I did was I took I always forget the name of this paper. It was on the last chance list, or it carried over or something, but yeah, can never remember the name of it. But it's like a holiday, a birthday set. And I decided to take that die that cuts out here and make kind of a little peekaboo card. And then when you open the card, there would be this on the inside, and there would be this on the inside. So basically what is the inside of the card when you open it is also seen from the outside of the card or from the front. And I thought that was kind of cool. And then I looked at the piece that came out and I thought, this could be great if this is your birthday card or whatever occasion it's for. And then you have a tag. Now you can have a matching tag on the present that you're giving them to go with the card. It was all great until I tried to take the blue painter's tape off. Can you see that? It ripped the paper in 2 different places. Yeah. Not just one, but 2. You know, so it's kind of, I could probably cut this off and get rid of that. Maybe I could put an embellishment there, and it's nice and sturdy to be a tag because it's double thickness, and the dies that come with this went through this with no problem. I was so excited. And then the paper tore. So I'm hoping that this will be better. I used it a little bit today, but here's what happens when you put things through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. It goes through the rollers, and the rollers take that tape and they really squish it down. All right, they really press it down because they're pressing the die so that the die will cut. So what happens is a tape that maybe isn't all that sticky, you know what, I'm going to pop this up. I think that'll be kind of cool. A tape that isn't necessarily all that sticky suddenly sort of becomes sticky because of the way it was used. Does that make any sense? Because it got flattened down and squished into the paper. So I did have a couple of instances of tearing today using that tape as well. And so then I still put it on my pants to get a little fuzz on it basically, and then I didn't have any problems. So I think on the whole, so far, this is the best bet. Now, some people use the Post-it tape, which is the same thing basically as a Post-it note, so that definitely won't rip it. That's pretty expensive stuff. And, you know, I would rather spend my money on things that I can make things pretty with, not tape. So I haven't purchased that yet. Now, the other thing you can do, to be honest, is you can just use Post-it notes, but then you're wasting a whole lot of Post-it notes because really you might not be able to use them again because sometimes they get cut right along with the paper that you're cutting. So I don't always do that. I used to do it at one point. I was given a whole bunch of Post-it notes in the really small size because a friend ordered them and didn't realize how small they were, so she gave them to me. So I was kind of okay with just willy-nilly using them. But then when those were gone, I didn't want to do that with Post-it notes that I had paid for. I know, kind of cheap, right? So here we have same exact sentiment, only this time stamped in black. And on the inside, well, I didn't even glue that down. I guess I have to. On the inside, that's when it could say happy birthday. It could say, let's see, it just says may your day. So it is talking about one specific day. So it could be just, you know, I was thinking about you today and I hope your day is filled with sunshine and laughter. Or it could be a birthday. You know, whenever people send birthday wishes on Facebook, they'll say something like, I hope you had a great day. I hope, you know, your day was wonderful or whatever. So it would certainly be very appropriate for birthday or anniversary or something like that. So I might very well put happy birthday. And, you know, we used to have a happy birthday that went in this direction, which would be really, really cool. We haven't had one that goes vertically in a while. Would be really cool on a card like this. But I wouldn't even mind if it was a bigger one and it went this way. I don't mind if things are in different directions. People are going to know that says happy birthday. So I thought that was really pretty. The idea of having a tag is a great idea, but it was kind of a flop because of the tape. And you could even put some ribbon on that and have the ribbon sticking up from here maybe. That might be kind of cool. I might do that. All right, so that's card number 2. Card number 3, I also remember that Misty Moonlight was one of my favorite colors. I loved it when it was an in color, and I loved it when it became a more permanent color. Now it's considered a neutral. Oh, and I remembered when I opened this card, I saw this little dot here. I have no idea what it is or where it came from, but it's not a problem because I'm just going to glue my liner down right over it and no one will see it. But here's the thing that was so much fun, okay? I decided to have a tag to go with this card, and I took our blending brushes, and because it was stamped in Misty Moonlight, but all of the words are in white, I took the blending brushes and I took some ink pads. I took, let's see, what did I do with them? I took Petunia Pop, Daffodil Delight, Summer Splash, Azure Afternoon, and Pretty in Pink. and I layered them, and I'll show you how I did it because I saved this to do. So one is for the card and one is for the tag. All right, I need some scrap paper. So this was the scrap paper that I used, and I love how the scrap paper comes out, and I use this in my collages, believe it or not. After a while, this whole paper just takes on so much color, and I'll just cut out little pieces of it and use it in a collage. So I started at the top with the Petunia Pop. Okay, and I wanted that to be pretty dark because I was ending with a light pink and I wanted there to be a lot of contrast between the two. So I put it on pretty heavy, and I'm kind of targeting this area right here. All right, so I want this side, these sides over here to be done in this color, and the top and the heart. All right, so if you're getting to a point where you, and I didn't have a smaller one to use, just get your ink on the tip of your brush and just be very careful to stay in that area. And again, I've said this before, you have to build up color, because if you get more color on than you wanted, there's not a darn thing you can do to get it off. I mean, you could wipe it with a Kleenex, it's not going to come off. Once it's on here, it's pretty solid, which is nice because it doesn't rub off on things. I had a customer once who just really was surprised that it didn't rub off on things, but it does not. All right, so I think we'll stop there. Maybe just a little bit more pink over here. I love the blending brushes. I was so happy when Stampin' Up! Came out with these. They're so soft, and you can get so many different effects from them. All right, so that's the Petunia Pop, which is a bright pink. And then the next one is Daffodil Delight. And I get the Petunia brush out of here before I end up using it on something. All right, so this is for the Daffodil Delight. Daffodil Delight is not a dark color, so I'm really going to have to layer, and I won't wipe off so much like we sometimes do when we're doing this. And I gotta look at this one to see what I did. All right, so I did yellow all the way down to where it says Be Filled. And I really don't have to make them both look exactly alike, but I would like them to have the same colors. Okay, but the word with I didn't do before, although I think there was some in there, but it got covered up by the green, which was fine too. Okay, so I just want to make sure I get the sides, and then I'm going to come back in. I'm just trying to put it on the tip of the brush and just hit the word Be Filled. And then I want to hit these little rays of whatever they are. I guess they're sunshine, right? Since we're talking about sunshine. I want to get those in the yellow too. Just want it to be really obvious that it's yellow. Okay. And then the next color is the Summer Splash, which I think we used last week too. So Summer Splash, we'll get that inked up, and now let's see, it looks like I did the word with and I did the word sunshine. So we'll see, you know, it's hard to be exact even with the smaller brushes. These come in sets of 6, I think, and they're 2 sizes. There's a small and a large. And I don't want to forget about the sides because I want that color to extend to the sides as well. And it almost looks like I hit the top of the and symbol so that was half green and half blue, which is just fine. I actually think that's kind of cool looking. That doesn't bother me at all. Hang on, I lost something here. There we go. Okay. All right, so this is a darker color, so I don't have to work at it quite so hard to get that covered up. All right, we'll close this up, and then we'll get out the Azure Afternoon. And we'll do the bottom half of the and sign and the sides and the word laughter if I can. So even if you're trying to do something the same way twice, the chances of that actually happening aren't necessarily great. Okay, that's looking pretty good. I just want a little more on that L. Okay. And then last but not least, Pretty in Pink. And like I said, I wanted there to be a contrast between the top and the bottom, but I still want it to be dark enough to be seen. And so now I'm going to try to get those two little squiggly things on the end there. See, and I'm putting my hands down on that, and when it's very fresh, a little bit of color is coming off on my hand, but not much. And after a few minutes, you won't get any. Now, that being said, it is water reactive, so if it got wet, the color would run or come off on your hands if you touched it with wet hands. Okay, I think we can call that done. Okay, so now we've got two tags that look a little bit different. I just dropped a brush. Okay, so one of them is going to be on the card front, and that's the one with the white background. And one of them is going to be just a tag. And my thought process was that this really could be a bookmark. My daughter gave me two beautiful bookmarks for my birthday and a book that I haven't read yet. I mean, she just gave it to me on yesterday. Yeah, she just gave it to me yesterday. So I haven't read it yet. But I love bookmarks. One of them has a cat on it, so that was just dandy for me. I love cats. This coming from the woman who used to be terrified of cats and thought they were the devil's spawn. I don't know how it happened, but it happened. Okay, so we'll put the liner in there, and we'll use the liner to cover up that spot. So that's why I decided, or how I decided, which way to fold this card and turn it so that that spot right there would get covered up. Okay. So let's burnish that down a little bit so it will stop popping open. And then we will add this to the one with the scallops on it. It was so hot up here today because the sun shines in. We get a southern exposure in this window. So I opened the window and then went downstairs for a couple of hours, came back up, and it was freezing in here. So I closed the windows. Now it's hot again. It's never quite right. So basically I want to line up that heart. I don't want that to be off center. And then I can wiggle the bottom if I have to get the sides a little bit more even. But you want that heart to be lined up. Now you might not have noticed this, and now I don't know if I can show it to you, but on the scalloped one, it has a little bit of embossing around the edges, and it also has a line here, and I think that line there is so that if you wanted to cut it, you could. All right, if you wanted to like hang this over something, I guess, you would want to cut it. So this is going to go there, and then I decided that for the bookmark or tag, or it could be a tag as well to go with the gift that you're giving them along with this, but for some reason I had bookmarks in my head, I guess because I got the bookmark yesterday. So I've got the very vanilla and black checked ribbon, and I thought that it was still current as like an online, but I couldn't find it, so I think it may have gone away, so I'm sorry about that because it's so nice. And we had the white at one time too. And that was really nice. All right, so I think I always do it wrong the first time. Put it through from the back, and then put these two ends through. And yeah, I kind of have it backwards, although I don't know if anybody cares. I don't know if it matters. I like to have that part in the front. The other thing that I sometimes do is I use my stapler. I have one of those Tim Holtz tiny attachers. Nope, now I'm doing the same thing again. And Stampin' Up! Used to sell one of those too, and they don't anymore. I mean, I realize they can't sell everything forever, but it's a shame because I use it a lot in crafting. All right, so that looks a little awkward to me. See, this is when I think, because that's too thick, that I really don't want to tie it. And so in cases like that, I'll just kind of make a little V, and I'll put it where I think it should go. And then I take the tiny stapler, and you can use a regular size stapler. I just kind of like the tiny one for this, and position it the way I want it, and just staple it. And I don't even mind the way that looks, to tell you the truth, but it doesn't jump out at me, so it just doesn't bother me at all. And I wasn't going to leave these too long, but now I think I will, because if it's going to be a bookmark and it's kind of short for a bookmark, then it needs to kind of stick up a little bit. So, and that could go on the inside of the card so that they can see it and see that it's a bookmark. And I was thinking maybe I put a ribbon on this too, but then it's going to look a little funny with two ribbons. So maybe I won't. All right, and then you'll see the misty moonlight peeking through the heart, which is kind of cool too. All right, so again, I'm not going to put a sentiment on the inside because I haven't decided what I need this for, but you certainly can. I did have, I'll show you some of the other things I brought out. I brought out the Simply Said stamp set, and that carried over from last year's catalog to this year's catalog, so it's still in the annual catalog. And just to kind of show you what some different things would look like in different colors and different combinations, I used a happy birthday sentiment from Simply Said, just to stamp. Now that one, my die wasn't in the right position, so it cut off a tiny little piece of it. And then I tried it again and somehow managed to do the same thing, only in both places. It happens to the best of us. All right, and then the nice thing about this too is when you cut out this, you get an extra heart. So granted, not everybody uses black hearts, but whatever color. So that one I did in purple, and then I just had a few extras of these to use for background if I needed, and I stamped another one of these. And now, of course, I have this whole little dish full of hearts, and I stamped them out or punched these out in different colors so that you could see them. And here's another one. So here's the one that just has the stitching around it, the die that just has the stitching. But then here's one that has the stamp, you stamp, and then you can stamp the sentiment in it. So you were very kind, and that is from this set, and I wanted you to see all of the stamps in this set. So you've got this one, then you've got You Are So Kind, then there's this one, Consider This a Paper Hug, then this one that says Just For You, this one says It's a Wonderful Day to Celebrate You, and there's another one here. What did I do with it? It's that little itty bitty one. Hello, where are you? I stamped it on something. I know I did. Oh, well, it will turn up. So the little itty bitty one says Happiness Enclosed. I think. Okay. Maybe that was for the next project, but I'm not sure. So there is another project. Like I said, I ended up, I got this idea, and this is a pet peeve of mine. So I saw this thing on Pinterest, and it was really, really cute. And I said, okay, when I'm really like totally copying someone's idea, I make sure to give them credit for it. If I've really altered it a lot, sometimes I say thank you for the inspiration. And unfortunately, sometimes I have forgotten who it was by the time I get to doing the video. But sometimes people pin something that is from someone else, but it ends up looking like it's theirs. But then when you click on the thing that says visit or view or whatever, all you see is another picture of it because that person didn't actually make it. So I saw this on Pinterest, but the person who pinned it did not make it. And I have no way of knowing who did make it. If anybody happens to know, please let me know. All right. I could could have sworn this was what it was for. So anyway, at first I couldn't really tell what I was looking at, and I thought it was an easel card, just shaped like a tag, that you might just put on someone's desk, let's say, at work. It just says, you know, just to make them feel happy, make your day filled with sunshine and laughter, and that's it. You just leave it on their desk. But then I kept looking at it. I felt like it was more than that, and then I felt like there was something inside of it. And this is what I finally think I figured out. Whether it's true or not, I don't know, in which case I really have invented my own thing here. But I'll show you what I think it is. So I think it was meant to be a little treat holder, envelope, whatever. And I've certainly seen things like this before. I've made things like this before where they actually contain a little mini box. But I thought, you know, I'm just not up for the boxes. So basically I took this little piece of paper that was just left over from what I was doing. There was no thought process behind this whatsoever. All right, it happens to measure 5 inches by 2 inches, and it definitely should be longer, to be honest with you. It should be longer. All right, and I scored it at 2 inches on one side and then flipped it over and scored it at 2 inches on the other side, so you have a little base, okay? And so here was my idea, that this would get glued to this. And I was careful to not have the scallops going beyond the fold so that the thing would sit properly on a table or whatever. And you could still leave this on a coworker's desk. I think it would be a really nice thing to do because it's not just a little unexpected gift. All right, and then this one for the background is going to get glued onto this. And then I really do think that my idea was to have that sentiment that said something for you inside or whatever, so that, you know, they could see that it was supposed to be a gift inside, but whatever. So then I was going to glue that one onto here. And it should stand up on its own, but I think it would be better if this piece was taller. So if it had been longer than 5 inches, I think that would be better. All right, so again, I'm going to try to line that up so it's kind of matching the other side. And then just press it down. All right, and here is where I thought that it would probably hold, depending on how tightly you tied the top, it would probably hold maybe 3 Ghirardelli squares, maybe even 4, because there's nothing that says you have to have it tied totally tight. It might hold several of the Hershey's nuggets, like stacked up on top of another, and I'm sure you could think of something else that it would hold if you know someone has a favorite kind of candy. Now, if it were to be an actual mini box, there would be sides here so that it would hold things so they wouldn't come out. But here, I'm telling you what I do. If I'm giving somebody little treats in something like this, because I know they're not going to keep this forever, I have a couple of friends who will, I just put those in with a glue dot, just one glue dot, so that they won't fall out. All right, and then I thought, well, that black checked ribbon would just be ideal for this as well. And then sometimes what I do with this type of a project is I also take some linen thread. If I can get the package open, I take some linen thread. One of these is one of the ones that I botched up. Oh, that should be perfect, I think, right there, but we'll see. So what I do is I put the ribbon, whichever ribbon I choose to use, through the hole, and in this case the hole is right there for us already, and I just have it go straight up, and then I take the linen thread, or it could be a twine or something like that. Oh, that wasn't as long as I thought it was. No, I'm going to want more. This is what happens when you lose your patience and you don't try to find the end of the ribbon. Don't do it. It's not a good plan. But eventually it'll all get used up and it just won't matter. Okay, so I take the twine. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a block, I think, and just see if I can get that to hold still. And I grab the twine. In this case, like I said, linen thread, not twine, but you could do twine. You could even use yarn, you know, whatever you've got. Use what you've got. And I keep working that down to the bottom so it's close to the card or the package or whatever it is. And then I'll usually tie a double knot. Notice how I did a great job of making sure that these were both the same length. All right, well, what can you do? And then you tie it in a bow. And then you give it a little trim. If they were even, I would have left them being long, but since they weren't even, I had to trim it. All right, and then you've got this cute little package that, like I said, you could just give to someone. You could put these at the table. All right, I always do things for Christmas and Easter and Thanksgiving at the table for people, usually with treats in them. So this might be this year's. Maybe this year won't say Happy Thanksgiving. Maybe it won't be Christmas. Maybe it'll just be this. Although it could be on red paper with red ribbon or fall colors. You could do the blending in fall colors. That would be very neat. And you can just stick a few little treats in there, whatever you like to stick in there. And I just thought that was adorable. So I hope you like it too. All right, so that is, like I said, that is the Paper Tags online exclusive. So you will not find it in a catalog. And the only warning I have about online exclusives is that sometimes they just kind of disappear overnight. If they're down to just a small quantity of them, they might put it on the last chance list or something, but I don't know. So if you like it, you better get it while you can get it. So we have 3 cards, all very similar. And like I said, I kind of got on a kick with this particular stamp, so I didn't use the other ones, which is why I wanted you to see what the other ones look like so you could realize what else you were getting. Oh, you know what? I think I know exactly what I did. Wait a minute. I lied. Unless, here's what I did. It says it's a wonderful day to celebrate you, and this really would be a tag, like hanging on a package or something, and then you flip it over and it says happiness enclosed. So I did use that stamp. All right, so there you go. There you have it, and I hope you enjoyed that. And please leave some kind of a comment or, anything at all. If you watch it on the replay, since you can't really leave comments live or whatever, please leave a comment. It just really, really helps. I've got videos on YouTube that had 100 people looking at them or 80 people looking at them and 2 comments. And YouTube takes all of that as a bad sign. So if you would be kind enough to give me a thumbs up and a comment, I would appreciate that so much. This video should be up on YouTube tomorrow. Thanks a lot, and you have a great week.